Steve Myers. And Kim, could you read his objective?
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. Steve today's goal is to use 2 or more visual aids that is appropriate for the message and the audience. It's 5 to 7 minutes.
Okay, and Steve will be speaking from the Competent Communication Manual, speech number 8, Get Comfortable with Visual Aids. Plunged into the task of raising a pair of lovely teenage daughters, Steve tries to prepare himself for the accompanying challenges by consulting other parents, as well as studying the pertinent science and psychology literature. These are some of his personal observations as he tries to usher his kids through them changes. And this is a 5 to 7 minute speech, Mr. Timer. The title of Steve's speech is The Birds and the Bumbling Bees. Steve Myers, The Birds and the Bumbling Bees.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, it's nice to be out here today. Butterflies, we've all seen them. They're interesting. We studied about their lifestyle in elementary school, right? They start off with this little short, squishy caterpillar moving 1 inch per letter all of his life. But they do a process that's amazing to us. They go inside a cocoon, they go through a process called metamorphosis, and they come out completely different creature. If you saw the two, you wouldn't connect that they're even the same thing. They have long legs, they have eyes. I don't know if even inchworms have eyes. They have antennas, they have wings, they're fly, they spend their life flitting about. We understand that concept. That concept is pretty simple. The idea that human beings go through a similar process, that's a little more difficult. Human beings do that in the process we call adolescence. They've grown up cute, little, bodies are proportional to their age. And about 11, 12, maybe 13, all the way till 24, 25, they go through a change. Now outside, we see that change, right? They get taller, their bone density goes big, there's some hair involved, and they're big, and they come out an adult. Now, how'd you go from this child just out of childish things, childish way of thinking, to this adult? That is a transition process. I've told my kids a tall tale that in the olden days, things were simpler. When Johnny goes 11 or 12, he'd get a little tired. Mom said, "Oh, Johnny, you're a little tired there, Johnny. Why don't you sit down here? Papa, Johnny's tired." And he'd go into a state of hibernation. And he'd spend that same time period going through all those changes in his little safety of his cocoon, protected by his family, only to emerge at a later date. But that's it's a tall tale, a little tough to grab, but we can do it. Unfortunately, the reality is that little Billy, our teenagers, stay conscious. Now, whoever designed that system, what were they thinking here? When part of that change to the butterfly is external, the rest of it is internal. And that brain, that wonderful thing that separates us from the beasts of the field, reverts back to our lower brain, while the upper brain is being reorganized. Now, what's life like with the lower brain? It's a little different. Your agenda is quite dominated by 2 items. Survive, and you're going to really hear Martha giggle on this one, and reproduce. Right. And of the two, in modern agrarian technology, in agrarian society and technology, we're surviving pretty a given. You know, there's some people have difficulties, but it's that former item on the agenda that seems to just dominate, just completely. What's going on here? Their memory. They remember things when they're a child, but they fade away. The things that stick with them, right, are the emotional extremes. The real happy times, a Disneyland moment, and the real bad times. You get a whooping and be embarrassed. Some kind of trauma that's stuck with them. But another thing that sticks with them is the undercurrent of emotion that they felt. Was it caring? Or was it aggression? It has a huge factor on later in life, not as an event we can remember, but an environment that transitional period takes place in. Now, in this, when your frontal lobes are being reorganized, there's some certain compromises to reasoning. Cause, effect, action, consequence. These things aren't quite as straightforward. In fact, there's a somewhat crass expression I heard a long time ago that really applies to teenagers. I'm going to use it now because I think I'm going to use it as a springboard. Girls need a reason. Boys need a location. but being in the arena of raising girls, I come to see that reason can be quite trivial. He's a hottie. He drives a cool car. He's got the new iPhone. And as that brain starts to come in here, they get this fineness of focus as if they never had it before. They concentrate on themselves. Man, I got pimples, my skin, I look different than the other kids. They tear themselves up with that. But they also tear their authority figures up. Dad, who was Superman, Mom, who was Harriet, Ozzie and Harriet. Suddenly they start seeing faults, and they start questioning the solid characters of their parents, with good reason, probably. But that starts tearing them. This, there went the Easter Bunny, there goes Santa, and Mom and Dad. Oh, sorry, you offend Josh back there. And in the midst of all this change, they have this curiosity. Now, there's good curiosity, like, how do we start a light bulb, make a light bulb, or how do we make equations that describe how the stars move? Those are good curiosities. Most of the curiosities I've seen deal more with that second item on the agenda. And what happens is curiosity, get this equation, plus opportunity equals stupidity. As parents, acknowledging the fragility of their brain and trying to thwart, asunder all the opportunities that we can, we're never going to get them all. They're going to learn things the hard way. But one of the things we also need to do is enjoy that free-formness as this new brain is forming. There's some cool stuff that comes out of it. And it's like you genetically, but it's also different. And it's exciting that way. I'm amazed how my girls approach certain problems, certain creativities, and they pop out with things that had never occurred to me. And I go, well, that's cool. And all that free form, they're looking to the adults to kind of channel that in to acceptable levels. Because they just go free and it's just a loose cannon. They look to us to kind of rein that in. In Proverbs, the book of Proverbs, the Bible, it says, train up a child in the way he should go. And when he is old, he will not depart from that. And that ties in really well with the best piece of advice I heard from my uncle. He said, with his children, he told them, think long and hard before you make long-term decisions. I think that in our adolescents, giving them that advice, supporting their good points, showing that we trust that they're going to come out of this okay, it will bring about amazing results.